Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Jessie and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 87. Can't carry it all. Yes, I had to cheat. As always, I'm going to start out with special thank you to all my subscribers, new and ongoing. I love you guys. What you see here is all about you, and I'm always looking to hear from you about what you want to see and hear discussed. I love doing demos, and I'm going to talk to you shortly about demos that are coming up. So let's dig in. Hello to Suzanne, Creepers Forever, and Karen. Thank you for adding me to your lives. Special love and thanks go out to Diane, Barbara, Faye, Julie, Janelle, Erica, Adriana, Wayne, Sonia, Patricia, Lisa Lette, Capi, Cath, Benty, Christy, Nietzsche, Charlotte, Chris, Roseanne, Linda, Marie, Eve, David, Donna, Betty Ann, Scott and John, Kate, Janet, and Terry at Unwound, Monica, Bex, Carolyn, Nancy, and Rachel. Much love goes out to my Zoom family, Robert, Roz, Paula, Brian, Jen, Elizabeth, Nicole M, Nicole B, Katie, Shirley, Tracy, and Georgianne. A warm hello go out to all of my patrons. You honor me. Thank you. Can't carry it all. As usual, I'm trying to do too much, and I talked to you guys 2 or 3 episodes ago about making some changes to my world to better schedule myself and get a better workflow going in my studio and in my business. And I haven't done that yet, so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm focusing on. This weekend I've really taken time. I've done a lot of dyeing, and I have done a chunk of cleaning here in my studio. Sometimes when I'm doing a lot of stuff piles up because it's all in different stages of being completed. And generally speaking, I'm very neat and I'm very organized and everything has its place. And I think that comes from my culinary arts background, that everything in the kitchen has its place so that you can find it easily, so everything's neat and clean, so you don't cross-contaminate anything. And any good workflow, all your tools are put away and they're nice and neat and clean. But I find myself a little bit more creative in chaos. And I think it's just because visually I am seeing disorder and I want to put it in order. I want to make it neat and clean. And that's where I start to see patterns. I start to see groupings and things that need to be put in different places. And it helps me think more creatively. So I've been in a very creative place because my studio has been a disaster. And it actually had gotten to the point where it was inhibitive. And I was feeling crowded in and I was feeling overwhelmed. So this morning, it's the beginning of daylight savings time. We just rolled all of our clocks back an hour. I had an extra hour, and instead of sleeping, because there's no doing that apparently, I was awake. What was the point of laying there and trying to pretend? I got into my studio and I labeled stuff and I put stuff away and I organized things and made room on my bookshelf to get my new books in and really got things back in their place and got organized so that I'm a little bit more at peace in here. And I think that's really important because I was trying to do too much and it was overwhelming me, and that's never a good thing. Don't allow yourself to be the reason that you're overwhelmed, right? I couldn't do it all. So I'm getting better about that. The more defined schedule is going to come into effect immediately. I have determined, I sat down with my calendar and I looked at everything and how my month weighs out. The weekends that I need to dye in order to supply stuff to the shop up in Wisconsin. The weekends I need to dye in order to put stuff in my own shop. The weekends I need to dye in order to make sure that I have my Patreon yarns ready for you guys. And I decided, okay, from now on, the second weekend of the month is work-free. So this being the first weekend of the month, next week there will not be a podcast. If I do anything for my business, it'll be knitting. And in a limited amount so that I'm not re-injuring my shoulder. I am still pacing myself very carefully, but it'll be more about my design time, where I'm actually working on patterns, where I'm actually making sure I get feedback from my tech editor and I get those edits in, and my blogging, so that I have my Patreon blog available to you guys with information, and I'm able to pace out like my demos and stuff and sort out, kind of storyboard that stuff. It's going to be really a non-production. I'm not going to be in my kitchen boiling wool, and I'm not going to be in front of the camera. It's going to be really the quiet time that I need in order to get my head wrapped around ideas and designs and projects. The other 3 weekends are dying and sitting and visiting with you, and that's really important to me. I really struggled with the idea of taking one weekend of podcasts off my calendar. That was hard for me. This is so important to me. This is so special to me. I love the time that I spend with you here. This is also major demands. If you've ever sat down in front of a camera, you know that there is preparation time, that there is editing time afterwards, there's uploading time, and although my episode may only be 20 minutes long, it can take an hour and a half to really do all the pre and post production, and so you're actually looking at a 2-hour commitment for a 20-minute podcast. If I rattle on for a full hour, exponentially that increases, and it's kind of crazy, because to transfer the file from the camera to the computer and to edit it, which basically means sitting and watching the whole podcast again, which is a surreal experience, to make sure that I enter the text where I need to, and then uploading it, that it gets really, really aggressive. It can be a 4-hour project plus the hour of filming, so it's 5 hours out of my day. I love you guys, and I love sitting down and having a sit and a chat with you all, but I feel like I am getting behind on the things that you really want, and having one weekend that I can dedicate to that, so that I have something for you more than just I didn't get anything done, I think is going to enhance my experience, and I hope it'll enhance yours. We're going to give it a go. We're going to see what a month of this does, maybe 2 months of this does, and go from there. The most important thing to me is being authentic with you and telling you that I am struggling, telling you that this is a time commitment, and telling you that I don't feel that I am fulfilling everything that I want or that I want for you, and that I need a different way to do that. Is truth and honesty, and really what I'm about for you. Honor your customer, honor your friends, honor your family, honor your fans with honesty. It's one of those good golden rules. So that means I got things in the works too, and that's good. First and foremost, I had created a tote bag for when I went up to Wisconsin last, and I did it as a giveaway. And the response to this tote bag was overwhelming. People loved it. And a lot of people said they really wanted one, and I just didn't have the capacity, I didn't have the ability to do that at that time. Guess what I've done? It's here, and it's going to go into the shop. It will be available very soon. Your very own Die Monkey tote bags, because you can't carry it all. You need help. Zippered top. Let's see if I can get there. Has a nice big opening, nice zippered top. I'm struggling with, but that's because I'm trying to hold it up for you. Zippered top. It has a pocket on the outside. It has the monkey you know and love on the outside, and on the inside it has another pocket, so that all of your little bits can be captured up top and readily and easily. And There's a monkey on that too. I love this tote. When I made them for the giveaway up at the shop, I fell in love with it. I kept one for myself, and I've been using it. And I have people that stop me on the street and ask me where they can get this tote bag. I wanted to be sure that I honored you guys that wanted it, and I have put this back into production. It's a very, very limited run, but they're here, they exist. So I'm so excited. Those will likely be up in the shop before this goes up, I hope. If not, if you're clamoring for one, they are limited, email me, let me know, and I will do a custom order for you. Yay. I'm kind of excited to get some non-yarny things in the shop. There's likely to be some stitch markers coming up. There's, of course, the tote bags and a couple other little things I'm working on. So we'll see. I have some acquisitions this week. I had gotten online. How do I begin this? So it's yarn sale season, which is dangerous. One of my very dear friends, who I speak of all the time, Shannon over at Supernatural Yarns, had a sale. And you know me, I need a bag. I love project bags. I love tote bags, nice big tote bags that can hold multiple project bags. I needed a project bag, like I need another hole in my head. But Shannon was having a sale, and I decided that I wanted one of her project bags, and so I got this for myself. I love it. It's so cute. It's so Halloween. I have these zombies on here. Isn't that adorable? Of course, I have it squished full of yarny goodness, and I'll show that off as well. Several of these skeins of yarn were from her most recent sock yarn club. I try to always participate in her sock yarn clubs. She has such clever ideas, and so often they are based on Harry Potter, and I'm a huge fan. So she did another club, and I got yarns. A Swooper on her pixie sock base. These colors scream. They're so loud. It's like a fluorescent pen collection all leaked. I think they are beautiful. They glow. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. These colors are so bright. They are so far out of my character. I mean, they're blowing out the camera. The camera just doesn't even know what to do with that yellow. Think glow-in-the-dark tennis ball. It's so bright. It's so beautiful. It's like sherbet ice creams all swirled together. No idea what I'm going to do with this. If I make socks out of this, they will glow in the dark. But I had to have it. I had to have it. I bought 3 from the club. Alchemy. Again, really bright fluorescent undertone colors. Again, there's a purple and a green and an acid green in here. It's so pretty. Again, way out of my usual color taste. I'm usually very autumnal tones. I'm glowing in the dark this time. And then, because, you know, tone it back down, Jess, I also got Obscurus. And this is gray on gray, and it is so pretty. At one point, when she set up the club and I made my selections, I had an idea of what I wanted for each of these. You would think I would write these things down. I have no idea what my plan was. The grays are so pretty. I'm likely to try to do a scarf or a cowl out of this, just for my commute and for work. I think it would be really pretty and would go well, of course, with all of my stuff. I mean, how do you go wrong with gray, right? But at the same time, I'm kind of like, if I do a 2 held together, then I can kind of tone down and feature the glowing. Or I could do 3 together and make use of the brights and kind of make this a neutral back. I'm not sure. They're gorgeous. Shannon's work is so beautiful. But of course, this was from the Sock Yarn Club. They happened to deliver at the same time as my order. But when I went in and I found the project bag, I also found a skein of yarn there from a colorway that I had previously purchased from her that I loved. And so I bought another one, Mad Hatter. I used this in one of my projects. I think I used this in either my Advent shawl or I used this in my must have been the Advent. I honestly don't remember, but I loved it. I thought this was so beautiful. These colors are made. This is entirely made. Browns and oranges, and there's a beige in there. It's so pretty. I love her eye for color. I'm so jealous. Isn't that funny how you can produce yarn and still have such an appreciation for somebody else's work, and somehow in your head it dulls it down, so your work just never seems as good because you have so much appreciation for somebody else. But then I'll be digging through my stash and I'll come up on a skein of yarn and I'll be like, oh, this is really pretty. Where did I get this? And then I realize it's my own. We're such funny animals. But I found this in her shop and I was tempted, so I bought. What do I need all this yarn for? I make my own yarn, but I just love Shannon so much I had to. And of course, as part of her sale, she was having a sale on her mini collection. She has a bunch of little minis collections, and I love her minis. This is her Halloween mini skein set. It has 5 minis in it, all packaged as one little collection. I'm going to slide them out so you can see them without the plastic. I don't do anything with minis except for my How to Eat an Elephant blanket, so these are likely to get woven into that. Aren't they pretty? Very Halloween-y colors. I mean, there's a black and an orange, and then there's this looks very much like my Alchemy. And then there's a purple and an orange, and this one just makes me smile. I love this. It's black and this acid green and a purple. So pretty. So pretty. Shannon, if you're watching, I love you, and I am forever astounded by your talent, and I am still every day so grateful for your mentoring and your help to launch my dyeing, and I continue to try to be as cool and awesome as you are. Thank you. Thank you. So I have acquisitions. I have wonderful things. I've also been working on socks. Granted, very slowly. This was supposed to be the year of socks, and I'm horribly, horribly behind because of my shoulder. But one of the things that I've noticed this year is that my gauge has changed a little bit. I used to have a very average gauge. And what do I mean by that? I'm one of those people that if the pattern says that it's 4 stitches per inch for that needle, I grab that needle and I'm dead on. I'm dead on. I match whatever the pattern was, unless the designer had a very particular gauge and they were a tight knitter or a loose knitter. For the most part, I'm an average knitter. I'm finding that and it could be the injury to my shoulder and just me adapting my knitting, or it could be me aging, or it could be me relaxing a little bit. My gauge is getting a little loose. What does that mean? That means that instead of 8 stitches per inch on my socks, which is a general guideline for sock gauge, I'm getting closer to 7.5 to 7 stitches per inch. It's getting loose. Why is that a problem? That is a problem because that means that the socks I'm knitting are getting bigger. I don't want baggy socks. I don't want baggy socks. My feet aren't getting any bigger, so my socks don't need to get bigger. To compensate for that, I had been shifting my stitch count down a little bit, especially if I was making vanilla socks, where I was rolling down to 60 stitches in my cast on rather than my average 64. The problem with that is that I'm still only getting the looser stitches to the inch. And that means that there's not as tight a fabric, there's a more open fabric. and that more open fabric wears more than a tighter fabric. A tighter fabric doesn't get as much wear. It's more hard wearing is a better way to say this, whereas a loose fabric is moving around more and starts to wear out much more easily. That's a problem. I don't want to be wearing through my socks. Even though they fit, if the fabric is thinner, they're not going to be as warm and they're going to wear out faster. The whole goal of knitting socks this year was to catch up on running out of socks as they were wearing out versus creating shorter lived socks that were going to wear out even faster and make me have to knit faster to make more socks to replace more socks. So to try to combat this, of course, adjust your gauge means adjust your needle. So I got online and I purchased some US size ones, and I got a 9-inch circular and I got some DPNs, and I have never worked socks on a needle this small. My go-to size is a US 2, which I'm told is actually a larger size needle for socks, that on average people generally go smaller. I write all my patterns for a US 2. I think the majority of sock patterns I've seen are 2s, but a lot of knitters say that they have to go tighter, especially working with the finer fibers. So we're going to give this a go. We're going to cast this on and give it a try and see what happens. And if I love it, if this creates a better fabric for me, I'm likely to buy a long circular as well, so that I can continue to work one of my all-time favorite sock patterns, which I have been working on most recently, which is the Squircle. I finished one! Yay! This is the Squircle sock pattern by General Hogbuffer, and it's a really neat treatment of the heel technique to create this really neat 90-degree angle for a long period of time here, to take advantage of self-striping and self-patterning yarns and show them off at their best. I reached out to the designer and I let them know that I have a number of people that were very interested in me creating a tutorial for this different approach to the sock, and he has very kindly given me permission to do exactly that. It's not going to happen this week. I don't know, it's definitely not going to happen next week, because next week is my time off prep week, and so that'll be where I'm really blocking it out and making sure that I have all the steps pulled together in order to do a tutorial like this. See, this is why these weekends are going to be good. Taking that one weekend a month off to be able to prep and pull things together for you and give you a solid tutorial in a timely fashion. Wow, this is going to be good. This is going to work out well. I'm warming to the idea. I'm going to pull it together and knit to various stages for you so that I can demonstrate what is happening at each stage, so that you can really understand the construction of this sock. The beauty of General Hogbuffer's design, and that's his Ravelry name, go over and look him up, is that the pattern is not a pattern. It is a pattern, but it's a formula. It's better than a pattern. It's a formula, because you can do it with any stitch count. I am very likely to present this not on fingering weight, but maybe on a DK or worsted weight, to cut down the stitch count and to show you how the formula works so that you can adapt the pattern to any stitch count. The formula is written with a standard 64 and steps you through the 64, but because it's a formula, he has the data in there to convert it to whatever your stitch count is, and therefore it works on every yarn, whether you want to make socks on lace weight, which I think is psychotic, but if that's your thing, you go for it. Or even bulky. If you wanted to have 6 stitches around, fine, we can work with it. The formula is there. So I'm going to demonstrate how to step through the formula to do the changes in stitch count, as well as the technique that's presented here. I love this pattern. I think this is my 3rd or 4th pair of Squircles. It's fun. The one thing about it that I treat a little tool intensively. I use a lot of tools to make these. I love my tools. Why do we have needle collections if we're not going to use them? Don't struggle with tight on a needle. Change tools. Do what works for you. I use the 9.5 circular for the entire leg. I work back and forth on DPNs to do the heel flap, and then when I pick up the heel flap, there's a lot of stitches at that point on your needle. I roll to my 47-inch needle, which was very kindly gifted to me. Thank you again. So if I find that I really love working with the US ones, I'm likely to buy myself a long circular so that I can keep making this pattern and be comfortable with it. It can be done with all DPNs. I'm not really comfortable with doing it with just a 9-inch circular needle. There's so many stitches on the heel at this point that if you had 2 9-inch circulars, that would probably work very well. I know a number of people are very comfortable working with 2 9-inch circulars and doing 2 circular needles through. Certainly the entire thing could be done magic loop very nicely. I then, once I get down through the heel, I go back to my 9-inch circular, I crank out the foot. Takes no time at all, and then I end up back on DPNs for my toe. That's me. I just flip through my tools as I'm comfortable, and it sets it apart for me so that there are stages that I work, and I feel like I'm accomplishing stuff because you go through the stages really, really quickly, where this is only a couple hours of work, and then this is only a couple hours of work, and then this is only a couple hours of work, and there's defined. There's chapters. Love this. I'm very excited to have the permission. General Hogbuffer, thank you so very, very much. And I hope to honor you. I hope to make you proud and to show off your pattern in the best light possible. And please, if you have the opportunity, thank him. Thank him. And I hope that I inspire all of you to give this a go. Because it's cute. It's so cute. And it's clever. He has that mind, that math mind, that can take something and make it better. And honestly, for me, this is a much better fitting sock. It's much more comfortable, and yay. I had talked at length, of course, about my shoulder and the pains that I was going through with my shoulder. And I had talked at length about some of my disappointment in that well, my shoulder hurts, I want to self-soothe, and self-soothing is knitting, and knitting is causing the pain, and so I was stuck in this horrible circle. And that I had goals, that I had wanted to make myself socks this year, and I was feeling kind of bad about not getting there. And I'm going to get all emotional. I can't thank you. My family, my chosen family, my friends, my viewers. You guys are so amazing. You are so generous. You take part in my activities, whether it's my ornament exchange, or it's the Patreon program, or it's my clubs, or it's the Knit Pals exchange. You guys are involved, and you interact with each other, and you care. And that means everything. And I have been so generously given gifts. And most recently, I've received a gift from one of my viewers. And I'm flabbergasted by the generosity and so touched. I ask nothing of you guys except to sit there and listen to me blather on. And yet you give, and you give so deeply. I received in the mail, all the way from Norway, very, very generously, a pair of socks. Benti, I owe you the biggest thanks, the biggest appreciation. How sweet, how kind, how generous, how amazing. All the way from Norway, I was gifted a pair of hand knit socks, and aren't they beautiful? In my size, to help me make up my drawer and make up for not having been able to do this year and feeling rough about myself about it, I've received socks. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope that we are all giving to each other. I believe that this is true of this community. I think we are some of the most generous people in the world. And you guys remind me of that all the time. All the time. I just want to show these off. I think they are so beautiful. It's a lovely, lovely pattern. I received a very sweet card. The pattern is called Speckled Space Socks. The yarn is Sugar Tots. It's a very pretty, pretty pattern. It has, I don't even know what, it's almost a seed stitch, but it's not. It's a really pretty pattern. I'm going to push this up as far as I can and hope that the camera focuses beautifully. The yarn is so pretty in these pale pinks and chocolates and vanilla, and there's little bits of green in there from time to time. It just reminds me of an ice cream sundae. And this stitch pattern is so pretty. Goes all the way from cuff to toe with a nice eye of partridge, slip stitch heel. Very pretty. I love these. This was such a generous, generous gift. And Benty, thank you. Thank you. You have touched me on such a level. They fit beautifully. I have been very careful. I tried them on and immediately set them aside because I wanted to be sure to share these with you guys. But you can bet they're going to work on my feet tomorrow, and I am so in love. I am so in love. I can't thank you enough. I thank you so much, so much. This is the season of giving, and I really was so touched by this and so reminded that there are people out there that are cold. There are people out there that don't have people hand knitting for them. There are people out there that if they can buy a cheap hat, they're doing well, but often are so busy just simply trying to survive that they're not even taking the time to purchase a hat or mittens or gloves or a scarf for themselves. And I went digging through my samples and I pulled aside a bunch of old samples that I really don't need to photograph any longer, that I don't need to reference any longer. They are long since done. They're not part of kits that simply are not being used. And I have put them all in a bag and I have labeled them with "I'm not lost. I'm found by you, and if you need me, I'm yours." And I will be dropping those off at the hospital randomly, the hospital I work at randomly, and just making sure that I leave them behind in the lobby from time to time on the cold days so that there is an opportunity for them to get out into the universe. I will be talking with the hospital to certainly get permission or to find a better way if in fact this does not work for them. I know that they clean very often, and I don't want to leave stuff around that's just going to end up in a lost and found closet and never make it to anything. If in fact this isn't going to work for them, I will find another means. I will find another means. There's a soup kitchen very near the hospital, and I will address them as well and see if that's something that they can hand out directly when they are serving meals as well. Whereas if I simply donate to, say, Goodwill or to Savers, those donations are meant to be repurchased, and I don't want that. I'm not selling the things that I'll be putting out there. I'm holding this up. These are not going anywhere. These are mine. Thank you very much. But the things that I do decide, that the hats that I've made that I've decided I want to give out into the world, I don't want them to be sold. I don't want somebody to have to buy them. I want them to simply be and go out into the world. And if you have the luxury of having time and resources to make an extra hat, please do. It's the season of giving. Let's give. Let's give. Thank you very much. And so that's me paying it forward as best I can and returning that. we all struggle with carrying it all. And the first thing that gets sacrificed when we struggle is always ourselves, because we're so busy taking care of other people. Try and help somebody else take care of themselves. So, what else is going on? Knitting progress. Well, I've already shown you the sock. That is the only thing I worked on this week. I did some dyeing though. I got a lot of great dyeing done. I have been working on a hat design. If you're following me on Patreon, I'm stepping you through my entire design process as I'm doing it. That has been really eye-opening for me. I don't realize how many things I just do automatically and how quickly I go through them. Slowing that process down to blog about it and to get very manual about it and really share each of my considerations and how that goes has been very eye-opening for me. And if anything, it's going to improve my design process because I'm looking at things more in depth than I used to versus just knocking stuff out as inspiration happened and maybe not bringing as much into consideration as I could have. To that end, I have dyed up a bunch of DK weight minis for that design. I in fact ended up dyeing up 12 different colors because I want it to be a design that can be done either in just 2 colors, which it has color work involved, so that you gotta have at least 2 colors for color work to happen, or to be something that can be done in a series of minis or can be done with just scraps that you have. So to that end, I in order to have the materials to work on that design with, I had to make the materials to work on that design with. So I dyed up a lot of DK minis and I've got 12 awesome colors to work with, and I can't wait to progress with that design and be able to show that. If you want to know what I am talking about, please pop on over to my Patreon page. For a donation of as little as $1, you can get access to exclusive content. Each level of the donations that you make there, the pledges that you make there, gets you different prizes each month as well. There are a number of levels that are drawing levels, and each month I do a drawing, and there are great prizes for those levels. And this week is the drawing week, so I'm gonna flip over to my names list and I'm going to grab my handy dandy smart wafer of wonder, and let's take a look and do our drawing. I need a pen as well. It's no good doing the drawing if I don't mark down who won, is it? Let's go to random.org, the handy dandy generator of all, and let's lunge and find a pen. Nice having everything organized and in reach, huh? I'm learning. Okay, let's do this. So, at my benefactor level, you receive a special knitting gift, inclusive of yarn, pattern, and more. I have 4 people at that level. Let's go ahead and enter 1 through 4 on my random.org number generator nonsense here. And we're going to hit generate. And our winner this month is Scott. Yay! I can't wait to send stuff out to Scott. And then on, don't you hate when you hit the sleep button on your phone and you have to reactivate everything? At my partner level, I have 6 participants this month. Let's go ahead and enter 1 through 6 on my thing and hit generate. And number 1 wins. That is Marie. Yay, Marie! Oh, what am I doing? I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm so excited. Yeah, it all goes south when you get excited. At my contributor level, I have 4 participants. So we're going to enter 1 through 4. And we're going to hit go here. And that is bringing up number 2, which is Nancy. All right. And I didn't tell you at all what those levels are. So, like I said, benefactor level, There's a knitting gift inclusive of yarn, pattern, and more. At the partner level, you get a hand-dyed skein of yarn and a pattern, both of your choosing. We're opening that back up. You may choose to get the exclusive dyed yarn, or you may choose any one skein from my shop. So I'll be reaching out to Marie and asking her what she would like. At the contributor level, you get a skein of the yarn. And then at the subscription level, which is not a drawing level, it's a guarantee every month. At the subscription level, everybody gets 25% off my shop all month long. 30 days, that's not a month from November 1st, which is already passed, that's from now. Plus a skein of the yarn. And this month's yarn, I showed it off last week, but I love showing off yarn. Isn't yarn beautiful? Is this beautiful colorway. It's exclusive. It's not going to be in my shop. It is Comfort Zone. It is on my Mosh Monkey base. This is a sock weight base. It is 75% merino, 25% nylon. It is a 2-ply for beautiful stitch definition, 100 grams, 464 yards. It is a superwash, but I always recommend, even with my superwashes, hand wash, air dry. We all have different washing machines, and some people have really nice fancy dancy washing machines that handle knits and delicates beautifully and don't thrash them around. My washing machine is older than I am and it beats the heck out of my super washes, so I hand wash on mine. I learned the hard way. Rather than learning the hard way, just hand wash. It's safer. It's safer. What else have I got going on for you guys? I have the giveaway. If you missed the last episode, go back, check out episode 86. I have a beautiful project bag. It has 2 skeins of yarn in it. It has stitch markers. It has progress keepers. I will insert a photo of it here. You want it. It's beautiful. To enter, you need to comment on episode 86. Not this episode. Go back and comment on episode 86 so that I can find your entry. I want to be sure that everybody gets a fair shot at this. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a comment on that episode that enters you in. If you are really hard set that you want to win that prize, you can get extra entries. To get extra entries, you tell everybody you know, you share it anywhere you want to, about the podcast and about the giveaway. You get your friends to subscribe to the podcast and to leave their note there. Have them tell me how they found me. So say Janet goes and tells her friends, hey, you want to check out Knit Up and Dye? Lucy goes and looks at it. She subscribes. She leaves a comment and says, I found you through Janet. Janet gets an extra entry and Lucy gets an entry. If we break the 1,000 subscriber mark, if you guys boost me up there, I'm adding 2 more skeins of the winner's choice from my entire shop, including custom order of any 2 skeins on any base to the prize. What does that mean? That means if you want silk blended singles and you want it specifically on Brick, or you want it on Comfort Zone, or you want it on Spice Market, it happens. And they're yours as part of your prize. I really want to get this out to everyone, and I want to give you guys a fantastic prize. Please share. So, that's everything I have for you guys. Next weekend I'm off. You won't get a podcast from me. If you're a patron, you're likely to see a blog post from me, and I'll be taking my time off, to actually block out and see what I can do about getting that tutorial of the Squircle socks ready for you guys so that we can film that in the very near future and do that. I think that's everything. I am feeling really good about this. You know, I can't carry everything at once, but with a good tote bag and some organization, I can make the load a lot easier to handle. That's everything I have for you guys. I love you. Thank you for joining me, and thank you again for your generosity and the love and the emails and hanging in there with me while I make these adjustments. See you guys next week. No, see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.